Right now, Diana Pierce is over in the interview area with a very special guest that she'll be getting to in just a little later. But let's go to Diana right now. Diana?
Thank you, Paul. No, we've seen lots of entertainment over the past few hours, fantastic entertainment, and during those moments, it's taken us away from our own cares, probably for a few moments or so. But now I'd like to interject a dose of reality. I'd like you to meet Joe Dilts. With the help of producer-photographer Jim Douglas and editor Jeff Crocker, we give to you ALS, a love story.
I
would rather be dead at times. Imagine yourself wrapped up in duct tape, then save a piece for your mouth. A computer links Joe Dilts with the outside world. To speak, he taps out words on a screen. And while Joe reminds us that his body doesn't work, there's nothing wrong with his mind.
I am a man trapped in a body.
I am a man trapped in a body that can't even put his arms around his wife or my kids. We tend to take the little things in life for granted. I never will again.
I never will again.
Joe Dilts is dying. The disease is ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It's the same disease that killed baseball star Lou Gehrig. There is no cure. So Joe waits for the end of a long and tedious struggle. In the 3 years he has lived with ALS, Joe has watched the disease ravage his body. His weight has dropped from a robust 185 pounds to 100 pounds. ALS has attacked Joe's muscles, robbing him of his speech and his mobility.
Back up.
For months, Joe has heard doctors predict death was very near. He has seen hopelessness on the faces of family members, and he's felt stress grind on nerves of those closest to him. But against the backdrop of terminal illness, a miracle is nourished, a miracle of love, bonding Joe and his wife Linda through this disease, death, and even beyond.
I never thought anybody in this world would ever love me like he has. And the strange thing of it is, it took the doctor telling us that he has a short time left for him to tell me how much he does love me. Here we go, hon. Up we go!
It's a love affair based on loyalty. When Joe announced he wouldn't be hospitalized or shunted off to a nursing home, the full burden of providing hour-to-hour care was Linda's alone.
Okay.
It became her mission of love.
Let's take a taste test here.
Each day, the routine is the same. Linda spoon feeds Joe a breakfast of diluted malto meal. Anything thicker would be impossible to swallow. Not only is there no cure for ALS, there is no medication that would stop the disease in its tracks.
Upper.
At best, Linda's efforts amount to a holding action that just barely keeps Joe alive.
You're breathing.
And despite all her loving care, Joe is wasting away.
We were together. We don't have anything now. We only have his death to look forward to. We don't have to look forward to living anymore. I get to look forward to a funeral instead of a retirement.
Joe's sleep, short intermissions of black, is interrupted often each night by pain.
You want to be moved?
Tonight, as she does every night, Linda moves Joe to make him more comfortable. But the grinding routine is taking a terrible toll on her.
I don't want to have to get up 12 times a night and have to roll him over and then 5 minutes later him call me back. My body is saying, no, it won't do it anymore. But my mind is going, you'll have time. You'll have time when Joe's gone to sit back and relax.
The nights are always the worst. Desperate for release from ALS, Joe and Linda decide to commit suicide one winter night 18 months ago.
It's not right. But you get to the point where, what do we have to look forward to?
Linda counted out 12 sleeping pills, but she had a change of heart at the decisive hour. She gave Joe his customary 3 pills. and she went to bed.
Okay.
A family photo album is rich with memories before ALS. A snapshot, slightly faded by time, shows a young man just back from the Navy. In 1973, Joe Dilts hasn't heard of ALS. Although the disease receives little publicity, it's more common than muscular dystrophy. Each year, about 4,600 people are diagnosed. A decade after this picture is taken, Joe Dilts will be a new statistic. But on this summer day, Joe and his wife Linda pose in the sun, surrounded by water. They are photographed together often in the years to come. Friends say they just were that way, together in work and play. Joe and Linda vowed nothing but death would separate them. In those happiest days, they had no idea Joe was dying, a little every day.
Heart sounds great.
In a small room at the University of Minnesota Hospital, monthly checkups with Dr. Stephen Smith are often frustrating. ALS is still much a mystery, and there are more questions than answers.
What area of the disease are we in?
I think your and his suspicions are correct. I think in a sense we're closer to the end. We may be within several weeks to perhaps a couple months.
He's the only man who has ever really loved me and cared what happens to me. And he's the most kind and giving person. I've never had any feeling like this from anybody.
Joe has lived a year longer than anyone expected, but his health is deteriorating quickly.
My wedding shower.
So visits from family and friends take on more urgency. No one has bridged the barrier of terminal illness with more affection than Joe's sister, Karen, and his niece, Jody.
With the doctor saying that he's only got a few weeks or a few months left, I took that really hard because I never thought he would die.
Jody and her Uncle Joe have made a pact of love. Joe is willing himself to live until Jody gives birth to her first child. If the promise of a new life sustains Joe in the months to come, that is reason for Karen to rejoice and pray that a cure is found very soon.
I want somebody to come forward and tell us they have the cure. How do you let go of somebody that's been such an impact? I'm not going to let go. Not ever, Joseph.
Finding a cure is on the Muscular Dystrophy Association's priority list. And one of the 4 national ALS clinics sponsored by MDA is in Madison, Wisconsin. Here at the University of Wisconsin Hospital, they are studying the effect of the drug TRH. Tests measure muscle strength of patients before and after injections, and there are hints that long-term therapy of TRH may slow disease progression. The director of the Madison Clinic, Dr. Benjamin Brooks, is very optimistic about their research.
Different people working in different areas have made tremendous advances just within a year. Now, does that mean that we'll have a cure within the next 5 years? I don't think so. We're still very far away from a cure, but we're very close to a better understanding of what this disease is all about.
Turn the fan off. I don't know what you need. Are you looking at it? Off. Arm.
Bedtime, July 7th, 1988. It's obvious to 38-year-old Joe Dilts that the end is near. Joe's emaciated body has shriveled to 75 pounds, and Linda says the sparkle is gone from his eyes. He didn't want a prolonged illness. Months ago, Joe refused oxygen, thinking it would only delay the inevitable. In his darkest despair, Joe asked Linda to pray for him to die. However, as much as Joe wants release from ALS,
Night, I love you.
he has struggled fiercely to live for this particular evening. 3 miles away at United Hospital, Joe's niece Jody is giving birth with Mike, her husband, and Karen, her mom, at her side.
Pull it, pull it, pull it. Put down.
Repeat after.
There you go. Exactly what we wanted.
Michael Joseph Kickbush won't remember this day, the day he was cradled in the arms of his dying Uncle Joe. Stories will be told years from now of Joe's resolve to never give up. And little Michael will come to learn about the warm love shared by his mom and her Uncle Joe. But on this special day, there is love and joy in this room, because Joe Dilts has kept his promise.
And all I wanted him was to see my baby. You know, that's all that mattered. Just God keep him until he's born. And he got to see him.
This has sort of lifted Joe out of that depression of waiting here, waiting to die. It is something that just took the disease away for the evening. We're going to concentrate on life for a while.
On August 15th at 11:43 in the morning, Joe took a final breath, then died in Linda's arms.
Joe Dilts was a man who had a powerful message for all of us. Remember those 3 words: don't give up. No matter how dark it gets, no matter what happens in life, don't give up. If we can do that, then the memory of Joe Dilts will live on and on and on.
If there was any word, one word that I had to describe Joe, it was love. He loved to touch. He loved to be with people. He loved to be with his family. Family was most important. Joe wanted his children to be honest. It might hurt at the time, and to remember their father as he was before the disease, that he loved them. Love. It's the only word that comes to mind when I think of Joe.
The story of Joe Dilts has touched many lives. We hope that it's touched your life as well. Please give us a call, 340-1111. Linda Dilts is joining me right now, and brings back a lot of memories if we see that. We started taping with you last October. We followed you through a lot of ups, some downs, a lot of good memories when I see that tape, a lot of things that we couldn't include in that tape. And I think one of the things that you wanted to share with the audience is 4 years ago when you were coming back from your Labor Day vacation, is that you and Joe and your family watched this telethon from the safety and comfort of your home, never, ever, ever thinking that soon you might need the resources of muscular dystrophy.
Oh yeah, we would come home, unpack, turn the TV on, and say, oh, look at these, these poor people, we'll donate money and we'll help them out a little bit. And do our best and watch all the people on TV and all the stars and the locals and everything. And the following year we came home, Joe had been diagnosed, and sat down, and we were one of the people that were being helped by the telethon. And it hit home, and it hit hard and fast. We just cannot believe when you become a statistic like this and just have to sit there and watch these people. I remember one man especially. He was in the Navy, and his wife was helping him, and Joe and I were watching, and I said, this can't be ALS. There's got to be something else. And then just watching it, and then they would show somebody else, and they would die. And we both wept because, is this going to happen to us? And it does. We didn't think it had ever happened to us, and it did, and it hurts bad. Real bad.
But Joe brought a lot of good things. The one thing that I remember in meeting his fellow employees at the MTC bus terminal last December when we got together for a little party is that one of his fellow coworkers came up and said, you know, the thing about Joe is that Joe would give you the last nickel in his pocket. And that's just the kind of guy that he was. He was very giving, very loving. And I think that's, if anything, what we wanted to do with that story, is to show that it touches everybody.
It isn't. We always said, no, it won't happen to us. It did happen to us. Don't let it happen to you, please. We need the money. Joe's gone. And he didn't want anybody else to go through what he's been through, what I've been through, what his children have been through, what his brothers and sisters and parents. Don't let it happen to you. Please help. Help now. Please.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, the entire Dilts family, for sharing with us. That's applause that for your family, for sharing so much. And we really appreciate it. It seemed like in some moments that we might have been intruding in your life, and if we were, we apologize for that. But I think what we did show is a truly loving story in your family, and we thank you for sharing that with us. Now what we'd like to do is right now is we'd like to dedicate the reminder of this telethon to the memory of Joe Dilts. Please don't let this moment slip by. Go to your telephone now. Give us a call, 340-1111.